Hello, my name is Hananiah and I'm a sophomore at Illinois State University. I'm also a member of the Illinois State University speech team. There I perform an informative speech that is all about women in Northern Albania. And I will share that with you today, as it was also my research focus for my Women and Gender and Society 120 class. After experiencing the death of her father, the only male in her household at the age of 8 years old, Camille Stemma decided something needed to be done. So to keep her mother and sisters from being shunned by the rest of their community, Camille went through the dramatic transformation of cutting off her hair, changing her wardrobe to that of an adult male to become the man of her house. This dramatic change in gender roles is not so uncommon in Northern Albania. In fact, Camille was just one of many women who across the centuries have gone through the transition of becoming a sworn virgin. According to Slate.com on December 22nd, 2012, a sworn virgin is an individual who was born biologically a female, who embraces the identity of a male, not because of sexual preference or gender-sex incongruity, but instead to perform masculine gender roles. While the number of sworn virgins has begun to decline, there are still young girls choosing to go through this transition. Perhaps what is most interesting about the sworn virgins is their context, as the Balkan Insight of March 25th, 2013 stated that Northern Albania was recently found the most homophobic nation in all of Europe. To better understand the oldest standing tradition of gender swapping, we must first examine the background of sworn virgins before taking a look at their current role in Albanian culture, and then finally examining some implications to truly understand just what the creators of Mulan were thinking when they added the song, "I'll Make a Man Out of You." While in America, the process of changing one's gender is rather rigorous and pretty invasive, in Northern Albania, it begins with a simple step. Just change your clothes. To better understand the origins of sworn virginhood, we must first examine the origins of the practice before taking a look at the process for transition. First, the origins of sworn virginhood. The practice of becoming a sworn virgin has been going on since the 14th century through an oral code of law known as the Code of Lik Dukajakni, or the Canon. Author Antonia Young, in her 2001 book, Women Who Live as Men, states that when the Canon was first developed, there were many rights and privileges not allowed to them, such as entering certain buildings. However, there was a loophole. Culturing Perspectives on October 9th, 2012 states that females have the option to reject their identity as women and to live as men, now gaining the right to work as a man and receiving the same respect given to one. However, they were forbidden from engaging in sexual activity with males or females, and thus they lost the ability to reproduce and experience their sexuality fully. Second, the process for transition. The December 2012 book, Albania, Family, Society, and Culture in the 20th Century, explains, aside from Camille's journey, there were two major options to becoming a sworn virgin. First, if the parents of a young girl felt they had enough female children, they could begin to dress the young girl in boys' clothing. And when she reached the age of being able to speak, she would take the vow of the sworn virgin provided in the Canon. Thus, nothing in the young girl's life would change, as she would have been raised as a he since birth. Another possible option would be if a young girl had an arranged marriage presented to her that she did not want to participate in. The young girl would reject the proposal, take the vow of the sworn virgin, and cut off her hair, thus escaping this marriage and any other marriage in the future. However, this was a road often less traveled, as the young girls would typically be murdered by their spurned fiancé before ever taking the vow. According to Dr. Lisa Wade of Society Pages on December 3rd, 2012, in Northern Albania, many rights are given based on your gender, rather than your age or your class. Thus, when the patriarch of the family dies, the responsibilities of the father fall to the eldest son. Yet, if there is no eldest son, then a virginal daughter is chosen to cut off her hair, change her clothing, and in some cases, change her name. And the rest of the community just goes along with this change, now addressing the once young girl as the new male head of the family. Camille Stemma, now 93 years old, continues to enjoy his life as a sworn virgin in northern Albania. Camille stated that being a sworn virgin was the best option for him, and that it was a choice he made, not only for himself, but for his family. And it is a choice that he doesn't regret at all. Now that we have seen the background of sworn virgins, it is important that we now look towards their current role in Albanian culture, by first examining community structure, and second, blood feuds. First, community structure. Many sworn virgins believe that they are necessary for their communities to not only carry on, but to survive with traditional upbringing. Camille Stemma, who now has in-laws, nephews, and even great-nephews, is still sought after for advice. Additionally, the Washington Post of August 27, 2011 states that sworn virgin Lule Ivanak just couldn't handle the married life. Lule was quoted as saying, "Even in a marriage full of love and harmony, the man is still the only one allowed to make full decisions." The Atlantic on December 5, 2012 states that while women are gaining more access to equal opportunity, there are still some rights unattained by them in northern Albania, such as driving in certain areas and choosing who they will marry. Thus, these women are turning to sworn virginity as a way to express these values and experience these rights fully, without turning their backs on their traditional culture. Second, blood feuds. While the sworn virgins may not be able to participate in the sexuality that comes with being a man, they do partake in the danger. Gendercentric.org on February 1st, 2012 states that in northern Albania, blood feuds are running rampant. Because sworn virgins are seen as higher up in their society, they are major targets when it comes to these killings. By taking out a sworn virgin, one is not only killing a male, but potentially eliminating a sworn virgin, or the patriarch, which can be seen as a devastating blow. Such was the case for Pashe Kiki. When Pashe Kiki was a very young child, Pashe's father was murdered, forcing Pashe to become a sworn virgin. Many years later, when his father's assailant was released from prison, Pashe felt the need to avenge the death, as he was the new patriarch. Pashe sent his nephew in for the kill. However, the attack was unsuccessful, as the original assailant walked away without a scratch, and Pashe's nephew lost his life. Pashe was quoted later as saying, "Sure, I am saddened by my nephew's death, but that is just the way of our culture. If you kill me, I will kill you." When asked if he would ever go back to being a woman, Camille explained that could never happen. He is a man. Camille was as bold as to say that if he were to break his vow today and marry, it would be to a traditional Albanian woman. While Camille's ability to be confident in his manhood is remarkable, considering his circumstances, the existence of his culture raises two key implications concerning the varying acceptance of transgendered individuals and adopting the identity of one's oppressor. First, the varying acceptance of transgendered individuals. While the sworn virgins may not be transgendered in what our society defines it, that is, being born in the wrong body, they are transgendered, and that they have chosen to adopt a new gender identity. In the US, we focus mostly on physical appearance when discussing transgenderism. We're more willing to go along with someone being transgendered once they have gone through hours of surgery and spent millions of dollars to change their physical exterior, rather than just accepting someone once they tell us that they are of a different gender than they were born. In a 2011 interview, rhetorical scholar Judith Butler asserted that gender is merely a series of performative actions rather than being an innate part of the human condition. Northern Albania has gone an extra step, as to show that the sworn virgins are not drastically different than women. They have only changed their clothing. Thus, gender has very little to do with ability, and it is more about our mindset. Second, adopting the identity of one's oppressor. When making the choice to become sworn virgins, the women were doing more than cutting off their hair and changing their wardrobe. They were deliberately adopting and enforcing patriarchy. The previously cited New York Times article quotes one sworn virgin as saying, "Today women go out to the disco half naked. I my entire life have been treated as a man, always with respect. I can't cook, I can't clean, and I can't iron. That is a woman's work. By adopting the identity of their oppressor, the sworn versions have gone as far as to now look down at those who they share traits with biologically. This speaks to the power of gender as a performance, as it can not only define one's life, but can control one's way of thinking. Today we have examined the background of sworn versions, examined their current role in Albanian culture, before finally seeing some critical implications. Whether the sworn versions continue to decline into a non-existence or experience a rebirth and flourish a once-old society, it is clear that they have left their impact on our world. Not only have they given us a whole new meaning to the words dress up, but they may have shown us that the clothes can in fact make the man. Thank you for viewing my speech, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of the symposium.